announcements, I'm going to let our speaker go first. I've only met him for the last 5 minutes, and I already know he's going to be dynamic. Our conversation that we've had, oh my gosh, we are so in tune with each other and what our mission is, okay? So after he speaks, we're going to have some time. Baker and I have got some things to say, as well as our president. But Krista Page has something to say as well too. But I'm not going to take up any more time. Students, parents, you're going to be in for a treat, I promise you. And he's got some prizes. And these not no small prizes either. These are some good prizes. All right, so without further ado, well, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Williams first. All right?
Good morning, I'm Ms. Williams. I actually have the pleasure of teaching one of your enrichment classes today. I cannot wait, so get ready. But I'm going to introduce our guest speaker today. This is Mr. Devon Person. He happens to be my manager at work. So I've known him for the last 1.5 years and felt like he had a lot of good things to share with you today. So that I don't miss any of his great qualifications, I am going to read a short bio. So Devon Person works for Hanes Brands here in Winston-Salem as the VP of Supply Chain for Champion and Casualwear North America. He graduated from NC State University in 2010 with dual degrees in Industrial Systems Engineering and Technical Engineering Information Systems. He furthered his education with a master's degree in Supply Chain Management at Penn State. In the 12 short years since his college graduation, he has become an incredibly knowledgeable supply chain professional, rising to his current executive level position by leveraging his diverse work experiences. In 2021, NC State University awarded him the Outstanding Young Alumnus Award. This award recognizes alumni who have distinguished themselves through professional practice and or service, and is for alumni who have been out of school less than 20 years. Candidates typically have made rapid advancement within their organization. I have the pleasure of working for him. I'm turning the floor over to you now for him to share some knowledge with me. Please give him a hand.
Thank you for that introduction. It's a little intimidating, so hopefully that set your bar just a little bit lower. That sounded really phenomenal. But again, my name is Devon, and she stole a little bit of my thunder for the introduction, but I'm Vice President of Hanes Brands, so I've been with the company now for a little over 18 months. Supporting the activewear brand. So hopefully it's brands you guys like. So Champion, Alternative Repair, Casual Wear, so a lot of products. I think one of the things that really attracted me to Hanes Brands is it's a public company, but definitely still has a small town feel. I think that's because they started in Winston-Salem and they're still in Winston-Salem. So we have a lot of people, from the company, 20, 30, 40 years is not uncommon within the company. So I think that speaks a lot about Hanes Brands. And they're big into the community, and that's something that I'm very, very passionate about, which is why I'm glad to be speaking with you guys today. So I was going to do a little bit about my background, but I think that is pretty much all the highlights. So I loved math growing up, so I went into engineering, so I got the degrees in engineering. Talked about the master's in supply chain, which is my area of focus. On top of that, I just got a bunch of different certifications, mostly in leadership, but also in some other technical areas throughout my career. And then again, usually for me, one of the things you'll see on the next slide about my work experience, a lot of my leadership training came from community service. So when you're kind of starting out your career, a good lesson learned is to get into a leadership role. They want to see that you can be a leader, and one of the great ways to do that is to go lead community service organizations to show them, and then that gets you into more responsibility. So big on community service, and then got a couple recognitions throughout the career. From a work experience perspective, it's been a roller coaster. So I've been to 4 different Fortune 500 companies. So I've worked for GE across all of their divisions. So power and water, oil and gas, hydraulics, I led them all. Then went to a company called Eaton, worked in the automotive industry. So worked with a lot of the big companies. Any car that you drive, I made a part for it. Then led their hydraulics business, as well as their electrical business, and then that's when I joined Hanes Brands, starting their director role for one of their smaller groups, Casualwear, for about 6 months. They got promoted to the champion. Did that for about 6 or 7 months, and recently got promoted to VP to lead all the activewear businesses. I think one of the cool things about the career is I'm from you'll see on the next slide, from a very, very small town, and I had never really traveled a lot. I was getting on the plane, first plane ride when I was 21. So I didn't like to move, but in my career I've been to a lot of places. So I've lived in over 8 different states. I appreciate my wife for being flexible to move around with me. She's in the back. That has a challenge herself. I've lived in 4 different countries. I've gotten to work with some amazing teams. I think some of the biggest teams I've been managing is over 2,000 employee plant. When I was in Kearney, Nebraska. And Kearney wasn't experience, it's everything that you think it is. Cornfields, windmills, that's about it. 3 hours, get a haircut. But we got through it. But one of the things I want to talk to you guys about, because so this is what most people know about me. So if you want to talk to almost anyone that I've worked with or anyone I've met since I graduated high school, this is about all they know. I want to share you my background, where I come from. So my background is I come from low income. My mom was a teenage mother. I'm the oldest. She had me when she was 14. Had my brother when she was 15, my sister when she was 17. So 3 kids before she graduated high school. And she didn't graduate. After my sister, she got kicked out the house. And so we started living in projects for most of my life. So I probably lived in every project across North Carolina. Even though I lived into 18 states, most of those were before I even graduated high school. So a lot of people think I lived in the military. No, we just didn't have stability when it came to home living. My dad left when I was 3. And probably since then, I had met him 7 times in my whole life, and 3 of those probably the last year. So I didn't really know him growing up. And for most of my family on both sides, I only knew my mom's side of the family, but for my grandmother and grandfather on both sides, there was a lot of struggle with addiction. So I always looked at it as a blessing that we ended up moving a lot, because it kind of got me away from those circumstances. But seeing a lot of tragedy throughout my lifetime due to those addictions. So again, with the low income housing, again, lived in 18 states, mostly government housing. I went to 4 different middle schools, 3 different high schools. So unlike most people, like I don't have friends from elementary school because we moved so much, right? My oldest friends were probably from college because that's where I was the most stable. We lived in homeless shelters, domestic abuse shelters. I kind of got to experience it all a little bit kind of growing up. But because of that, one of the things my mom did a really good job of was keeping us in community programs just to keep us our head on straight. So even though that sounds very traumatic, transparently, I didn't realize it was that bad because we had these other programs I was always involved in. So I don't know if you guys heard of 4-H, I don't know if that's still around, but that was one of the big programs when I was growing up. I was heavy into the Boys and Girls Club, their basketball leagues. YMCA was another big one for me. And then Vacation Bible School. So my family is religious, so every summer I was in a Vacation Bible School. That's where our summers were spent. But those programs, I got a lot of mentorship, I got a lot of companionship, I got a lot of support that I didn't necessarily get from my direct family. I'll tell you, like most of the people I call family today, I probably met through one of those programs. So I appreciate what you guys are doing because those are the types of things that kind of kept me on straight to get to where I'm at today. One thing I just want to emphasize for me is, man, it doesn't matter where you start. Right? You know, everybody has a story, everybody's going to have a circumstance, but it really, really doesn't matter where you start. It's where you want to finish, right? It's really up to you. I can tell you, I would have never imagined like my life ended up the way it was. For me, I was just focused on making something better out of myself. I had no idea what that meant, where my life was going to go, or even how to do it. I didn't know a lot of people. I think one of the things that, one of the best advice I got around one of my counselors in middle school is, if you don't know how to get somewhere, go find someone who does and copy them, right? And that has been my mantra. So there's one thing I can leave you guys with today, right? When you're getting advice from someone, don't look at what they say, look at what they do, look at the results, right? If you want to be a millionaire, go look at what a millionaire does. Don't go talk to someone who's broke saying this is how to get millions, right? Go find the person who want to be. If you want to be an engineer, don't go talk to someone who works at Starbucks. Go find an engineer, right, and talk to that person, right, and replicate what they do, right? And that's what I'm trying to do. So I always try to identify who are some people that are where I want to be, and I studied them, and I created a plan to do whatever I could to copy their behaviors, and hopefully the results came, and I was pretty successful in doing a lot of that. So with that, I want to jump into a quick game, hopefully a little bit fun. Game called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Are anyone familiar with that game? Hopefully so. If not, the intent of this game was a very popular game again when I was growing up. The intent of the game is you have to ask a series of questions, and if you got them all right, at the end you can win $1 million. Now, I'm not here to have $1 million. So this game's gonna have a little bit of twist about it. So the twist of this game is a little bit is, I wanna bring up 3 people at a time. I'll ask you a question. If you get it right, I do have a series of prizes that you can win. But the intent of this game is I wanna teach you what most millionaires are. I think there's a misconception of how hard it is to be a millionaire and the path to become a millionaire. So recently, about 3 years ago, there was a massive study of over about 10,000 millionaires. And they wanted to understand, you know, what will they do, what their behaviors, how do they become a millionaire? And it's not what most people think of when they think of a millionaire. So this game will be focused on questions around what are millionaires really like, so you can understand opportunities for you to go down a similar path. Because for me, financial stability, that was my purpose. All right, so we're gonna jump into the first question. So I need 3 volunteers. Dan's gonna help me pick out the 3. Come on up to the front. And the first prize is gonna be a bag of Reese's for the first prize. Come on up. Whole bag of Reese's is the first prize. That's right. All right.
Let's go, guys. Let's go.
So we're gonna do Jeopardy rules. The key to Jeopardy rules is you have to get the closest number without going over. You gotta stay on that side so you can't see the answer. All right. So first question of who wants to be a millionaire is simply, how many millionaires in the millions exist in the United States today? How many millionaires do you think there are? Closest without going over.
You said how many millions of millionaires, or just how many millionaires?
How many millionaires? 5 millionaires in the entire United States. Okay. Conservative number, I get it. 50 millionaires in the entire United States. 56 millionaires. There's 22 million millionaires in the United States. 22 million. That's a lot. So who had the highest number? None of you guys, because I think it was you, 56. Here you go. Congratulations. So guys, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, even I wasn't expecting numbers that low, but you try to get 1 to 2 million. That's just 22. That should tell you how much opportunity is out there, right? Much bigger than I could even imagine. So now the rest of the questions are going to be based on that foundation on the 22 million. All right, 3 more volunteers. Next prize is a bag of larger candy with Snickers, Musketeers, and Milky Ways.
Nobody wants candy.
Come on, Caleb.
Give it to a friend if you don't want it.
Max.
Oh, there's
Where's Max?
Snickers, Twix, Milky Ways.
Come on, Gigi.
All right. So same rules, be the closest without going over. All right, next question. Out of those 22 millionaires, how many of them did not inherit their wealth? So before they became a millionaire, that means they got less than $1,000 given to them. How many out of 22 million? 10 million. What's your guess? 13 million. Closest without going over. You get the rules. You watched it. 79%, so 17 million of the 22 inherited nothing. So now, going back to my comment, it doesn't matter where you start, right? Most of the millionaires, 17 million of them started with nothing.
Question. You know the demographics of that 17 million?
I do, and some of that will come up, but I can give you more demographics on that.
Okay.
All right, 3 more volunteers. The next one, now we get to some cash prizes. $10 is on the line. $10. Come on up first.
Young lady? Sorry, young lady?
Oh, Gigi, now you want to go up there?
Oh, Miss Williams, you see my door?
Come on up.
Now, question. Do you want to mix it up and they have to like silently give their bid and then they go to other person's land?
No.
We just need 3. So.
2.
Okay, that's all.
It was 2.
All right. Next question. How many millionaires of the 22 million went to college? Out of the 22 million, what's your number for how many went to college? You go first. 80? You said 80 million? Out of 2 million, start with 22 million. Out of 22 million. 15. 20 million. 14 million. 19 million. I went over though. It's close to not going over.
Who's that? Who was
No, he went over. He was 20. He was the closest because he went 12 minutes. Yeah, he was close enough.
I said 15. He said 15.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, good job, guys. So again, with the purpose of understanding how most of them went to college, right? So that's part of the reason why you guys are here to get into STEM. What that tells you statistically, you have a much better chance of becoming a millionaire with going to college. Other interesting facts about the college that I found very interesting that I put on here as well. If you think about people go to college, I think there's a perception that most billionaires went to Ivy League schools. That is not true. Only 8% of that group went to an Ivy League school. Most of those went to a public university, just like Mississippi State. That is how most people became millionaires. Right? They went to a public school, got a good education, right? And it didn't cost them a whole bunch of money, so they go a lot of debt, and that's how they became millionaires. They went to a public university in their hometown. All right, next one, we got $25.
Same person that go there. I was sitting back.
Put your hand down.
I was like, wait. Everything in my wallet. Everything in my wallet.
All right, next question on how many millionaires came from athletics or entertainment out of that 22 million? What's your number? Sorry. 5 million. 10 million. 8 million. Less than 1 million.
What?
And that includes all professional sports, all actors, all musicians, content creators, and social media. Less than 1 million.
Wait. Yeah, I'll show that first.
Less than 1 million. So I think everybody went over this one, right? So I didn't.
Can you put like the winners against each other?
I guess.
No.
That's not fair.
You were close to coming first, so that's one over. So here you go.
Wow.
So this is important, 'cause again, I want to clarify misconception, right? So this is a lot, it's 800,000 people. Because you gotta understand that path is probably one of the hardest paths that you can take in order to become a right. If you think about how many people are in the NFL or how many people in basketball, anybody know how many people are in the NBA roster right now? We're right in the middle of the NBA league. How many people on the NBA roster for all the teams?
I still,
2,500.
350.
I still.
How many people on the NBA roster for all the NBA teams?
374, 312, something like that.
14.
What, 30 times 12? 30 times 12.
You're on the right track. What's that math?
That's 30 times 12.
It's 30 times 12.
I said 370. Okay, 360.
It's 360. So in the entire NBA, there's only 360 people. And for most sports teams, it's similar, right? Football's a little bit bigger, right? Because you can have up to 60 million squad, but there's only 32 bigger, right? We're talking, that's 800,000. That's one of the hardest paths that you can take, right? So yeah, a lot of people are trying to do that, but at all paths you can take out of 22 million, less than 1 million came through that path. All right, last round is a $50 gift card. So,
Bro.
Hey, you've already gone. You've already gone.
I'm a 13-year-old boy. You got scammed or some shit. You got scammed.
Alright, now this is a little bit different because now you know number of things, right? So now that we know that in Texas, everything was the least bad, we're going to talk about the careers that drive the most millionaires. So this last question is going to be, what are the top 5 career choices that drove the most millionaires? So whoever names the most correct will win as a prize. Top 5 careers that drove the most millionaires. Who wants to go first? It's better to go first. 5. Yeah, list all 5. Whoever gets the most correct out of those 5. What's your 5?
To Facebook and streamers, movie actors, artists.
That's a bold choice, man. Looking at that last statistic, but okay. Out of the 22 millionaires, top 5 careers.
Use your context clues. Right there in your face.
Yeah. Man, I wish someone got that facial expression. That was priceless. Top 5.
Alright, who's next?
Right here. 5 careers.
Well, you should have.
Hey, no, go ahead.
Sure.
I'm trying to think of 2 more. I'll let you know.
All right, time's out.
I like those choices.
I just said that. What that mean? What? I was saying that. I was saying that. Bro, I was saying that.
Hold on, guys.
Engineering, accounting, teacher, management, and attorney. Those are the careers that generate the most millionaires out of the system. They make up for 60% of the millionaires.
Okay, but I got a question.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Because, I can't think I took on that.
So-
I got a question about teaching. Not the teaching you have, like, you did something else and became a millionaire.
So that's a great point. So when you look at the breakdown of the teacher piece, most teachers are women, and that typically is a career choice where you see that when teachers have the highest rates of marriage and the least rates of divorce, so typically they have the best chance of dual income home. All right, so I'm here to talk about engineering because that's a choice that I took. Right? Now, I will tell you guys, part of the reason why I chose engineering is that when I first went to college, I was not an engineer. I was actually loved drawing. And so when I first went to school, I wanted to be an architect. And I'll tell you a quick story about that. So when you go to college, one of the things you'll hear about is called a career day. So career day is when you're a junior and a senior, you basically go to a room, there's a bunch of companies recruiting from your school, and that's probably your best chance at getting a job. So I went to NC State, really big school. I was starting architecture my freshman year. I had nothing else to do. So I said, hey, I just want to go to career day and see what companies are there. So it's a room probably the size of this. Went in there, there's about 15 companies that I got to talk to and interact with. And I was using that as my chance to understand what are they looking for so I could prepare myself. Right? So I went back to my dorm, I was talking to my roommate who was in engineering. I was like, hey man, I had a great day today. I went and saw some companies, like 15 companies there. It was awesome talking to him. And he looked at me and laughed in my face. He was like, 15? He was like, it's like 300 for an engineer. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, come to me with the engineering career fair. So the next day was the engineering career fair. It was in the convention center. There was 500 companies, 2 days, so 1,000 total. Every company that you could imagine across the board was there in there, right? It was phenomenal just to see how many companies were coming to the school to recruit students from the engineering program. Like, it was just something I've never seen before. I switched my major that day. I literally switched my major that day. Because again, financial stability and support of my family was important for me. And again, I look at results. Right? 15 in 1,000, that's opportunity, right? Much more opportunity, which is why I chose STEM. I chose STEM because it gave me the best chance to support my family, and it's the most likely path for me to be successful. So a little bit about engineering. So one of the things before I jump to the video, so I put the video on the show because when we talk about engineering, what I really like about it from a personality perspective is, what an engineer really is you're trying to understand the world around you and then make it better, right? Your job is to use math and science to understand people's needs and solve a problem. That's all engineering is, right? Now to do that, there's a lot of different businesses. So technology typically falls into the engineering bucket, right? Because you're gonna use a computer science degree, computer engineering degree, right? So that falls within engineering, but you're trying to understand how things work around you to fill a need for someone else. That's what engineering is. But even if you don't do engineering, if you look at to the right, here's another study that was done in 2018 to help people understand the difference between STEM jobs and everyone else, all the others. So really just pay attention to the two boxes circled in red. All occupations, the average salary is $40,000 a year. When you talk about all occupations in one bucket, 2018. STEM's double that, 88,000. So no matter what field you pick in STEM, you're more likely to make twice the amount of money. So I don't know about you, that was a big incentive for me. So any questions on that before I jump into the video about engineering? Okay. So I just want to play a little video that just kind of explains the different disciplines in engineering.
Oh, hi. I'm so glad you're here. See, Squeaks has a problem. He doesn't know how he wants to spend the afternoon. I mean, there are so many great choices. He could play outside, or have a yummy and healthy snack, or draw, or read a book. He just can't decide. And well, he needs some help choosing, because he really wants to get out there and enjoy his afternoon. I agree, Squeaks, this is a problem, but no worries. I know how to think like an engineer. Ah, yes, the people who drive trains are called engineers. But there are other kinds of engineers too. These kinds of engineers identify problems and then figure out ways to solve them. What kind of problems? Well, almost any kind. The sky's the limit. Actually, for some engineers, the sky is a good place to start. What kind of problems could be solved that have to do with flying in the sky or in space? Maybe we could try to make airplanes that are safer for people or rockets that go faster. Engineers called aerospace engineers tackle problems that have to do with flight, like how to make planes fly more quietly. And every person who has been to outer space has had help from an aerospace engineer. I agree. That sounds like a fun job. Other engineers work to solve problems here on the ground. Remember that really cool bridge we saw when we went to see the redwoods? That was thanks to the work of civil engineers. These engineers solve problems like how to get across a river or through a tall mountain. That means they design tunnels, bridges, and buildings of all kinds, including super tall skyscrapers. Another example? Sure. How do you think this video gets to the people at home? It's possible because of people that solve computer-related problems. Computer and software engineers write programs, which are directions computers follow as they do things like play videos. Those are the engineers who made it possible for Squeaks and I to be able to talk to you through the internet. And these are only a few things that engineers do. Environmental engineers solve problems related to the environment, like how to have cleaner water and air. Electrical engineers make sure we have electricity to keep the lights on in our houses and cities, and design parts that make our cool electrical toys and gadgets run. I can really go on and on, but I won't, because I think it's time to solve your problem about what to do this afternoon. Do you want to try thinking like an engineer? Great, let's get to it. Now, engineers don't just guess at the answers to problems. They approach them with a sort of plan. A couple of basic steps to guide them. The first is to define the problem. When we define a problem, we do more than just say something's not going right. We need to say exactly what it is that we want to solve. Squeaks doesn't know how to choose an activity this afternoon. Right, Squeaks? The next step is to come up with ways to solve the problem or solutions. Because there's usually more than one solution to a problem, engineers try to come up with many different ideas. Squeaks and I are each going to come up with a different solution and compare our ideas to see if one might work better than the other. I'm going to draw my solution on a piece of paper to make it easier to share my idea with Squeaks. Okay. Here's my idea. We could have a different colored bead stand for each choice, then put them into a cup, close our eyes, and pick one. What's your solution? I like that one. Squeak says that we could make a spinner like the ones used in some games. This is a great solution. It will solve the problem, and we have all of the things we need to make one here in the fort. Let's start by planning our solution. We'll draw a circle on a piece of paper, use scissors to cut it out, and divide it into 4 equal parts. We'll write one activity choice in each part. Finally, we'll attach a paper clip to the center using a paper fastener and spin away. Our spinner is done. Our choices are play outside, have a snack, draw, or read a book. Let's give it a spin. Look, our spinner landed on have a snack. Now you have a plan for the afternoon, Squeaks. Uh-oh, it looks like it's time for us to meet Jesse to do some...
So I'll stop it right there. So again, that's all engineering is. Engineering is learning different techniques to solve problems that meet people need, which is why it's founded in math and science, right? Because that helps you understand the world around you. So again, appreciate everybody's time today. If I could just leave you with just, in summary, I would say, again, it does not matter where you start, right? It's all about your work ethic, having a plan, and ensuring that plan is gonna give you the best chance of being successful. And the best way to do that is find role models who are where you wanna be and understand what they do to get there and follow the path. Thank you all, I appreciate you.
Hey, check.